So this is his third Die Laughing, his second year in Fearless. He is often called a disappointing communist by his parents. Presenting his second hour of At One with Nature, give a warm welcome to Pher Sturz.
Yeah, what's up, Die Laughing? How we doing tonight, this morning, whatever the heck it is? Let's hear it for Jenna and Jessa, everybody. And for Kayla, and for everybody else that's performed this weekend. It's great. It's great to be here. Huh. That sounded... Oh, it's because of the sushi thing. Got it. That's what that sound was. No, I'm happy to be here, guys. I'm here to kick some ass and take the blame, so sorry for all the ass I'm about to kick. That one's on me. No, love being here. Love the fact that it's fucking nice outside finally. Right? Let's hear it for spring. It's great. All the snow is melting. It's a good thing. Gotta complain about one thing, though. The allergies. Holy shit. You forget about that until it hits you, and then suddenly you remember what it's like to be a cameraman filming a scene with a bunch of nearsighted gay porn stars. Just tree jizz everywhere. In the face. Flonase is my splash guard. So I have a job interview on Monday morning at 7:30. That'll be fun. Have to shave for that. Don't know how I'm going to... There's so many different razors out there, so many shaving kits. Don't really know which one to use, so I think I'm just going to settle for Occam's razor. That's, I think... Good. I didn't know how that joke would go, which means that I can do this next one, since this is that kind of crowd. The first rule of Who's Afraid of Virginia Wolf Club is that we don't talk about our son. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is an art house joke. Doesn't always work for the audience, but the Oscar voters fucking love it. All right, that's a little bit about me. I'm from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Shut the fuck up. But also, you're not wrong. Man, we have this really awful habit in Eau Claire of comparing ourselves. It's like we're a little mini Minneapolis, our art papers say. Eau Claire is like the next Minneapolis. And, like, I don't know how you can make that comparison in Eau Claire, because as hard as we try, we're never going to have a Prince caliber artist living in our town. All right? We've got Justin Vernon of Bon Iver, and that's it. Okay, you can look cool as hell driving down 94, blasting Little Red Corvette. Everybody's down with that. Nobody's going to think you're cool while you're driving down 94 in your beat-up 98 Isuzu, crying while listening to Skinny Love. All right, that's not a match we're winning. I used to think, though, that like Wisconsin was better than Minnesota in some parts. You know, Wisconsin, the state of brats, that's our thing. We love bratwurst. We do it really well. And then I ate at a place called New Bohemia, which was disappointing to learn that there's a place in Minnesota that does brats better than Wisconsin, and now I get what it's like to be into cuckoldry. Like, I get it now. I understand it. We definitely drink better than Minnesota, though. And I think that's because at age 12, every child born in Wisconsin gets a visit from Swiggy the drinking sprite. Like, hey, kids, did your dad just throw a beer at you to get you to shut up during the Packer game? I'm with you now. Gives you advice your whole life until you're 21. Like, if you drink a blended margarita, the alcohol hits you harder because it doesn't freeze. You see, it's funny, but chronic alcoholism is a problem in Wisconsin that we just can't. Damn you, Swiggy. No, but I'm excited to be here tonight. Talk a little bit about how beautiful our world is that we're living in. You know, you look around, it is a beautiful place, terrifying place. Try not to look too much beyond the land and into the ocean. That place is fucking terrifying. You guys heard of an anglerfish? It's basically what would happen if, like, somehow H.R. Geiger, Mary Shelley, and fucking H.G. Wells could somehow have a threesome and give birth to the same thing. And there's your, like, the ocean is terrifying as shit. No sane God could come up with what's in the ocean. But also the ocean is like the most progressive place in the entire world, right? Like what do conservatives tend to say about like transgender issues, gender issues? Well, it's not natural. There's male and there's female, and that's how it is. Maybe in your narrow view of what natural is, but if you get out of the fucking ocean, it's a new ball game. I memean, all you have to do, look at fucking clownfish, for instance. All right, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like how clownfish operate, but you have the male clownfish and the female clownfish, and typical stuff happens there. But the minute the female clownfish dies in that relationship, the male undergoes a change and it becomes a female. And it becomes the mom. Which honestly would have made for a way more entertaining but shorter Finding Nemo. That's... Dad, where's mom? Don't worry about it. I'm your mom now, Nemo. The end. Seahorses, too. I mean, we all know about the things seahorses do where it's actually the males that carry the babies for, like, the longest period of time. They're the ones that actually give birth. Very cool. Like, that's a whole thing they go through where the females will be like, here's the eggs, here's the babies, you got this. And I think if we really wanted to see some change in the world, a bunch of women scientists would get together on humanity's side and figure out how to make that technology work. Because I guarantee birth control issues would be non-existent in Congress at that point. Watch how quickly, I don't know if maybe their cognitive dissonance isn't that like good, but like watch how quickly a speech ends in the middle of Congress when a male Republican is giving a speech about how you can't force somebody to carry a child that doesn't want to. Like, yeah, now you get it, right, guys? Cool, birth control for everyone. Nah, man, the women of the ocean have that shit figured out. One of my favorite stories from a few years ago was, I believe it was the Monterey Bay Aquarium. They had a shark exhibit, as you do, and they noticed that one of the male sharks kept bumping into a female shark in the tank. Like, daily he would do that. She would be, like, minding her own business. And then he would come up to her and bump into her, and she would swim off, whatnot. And that carried on for a while until one morning they came in and found the male shark half-eaten. Apparently she was getting so sick of being bumped into by this male shark that she'd had enough, took matters into her own hands, and now it's not a problem anymore. So, ladies, I'm not saying that there is now a solution to catcalling, but eat the motherfucker. Bet you get that shit to stop real quick. There's a lot of stuff in the ocean, though, that we haven't seen. A lot of sea monsters that could be out there. The Loch Ness Monster. I used to believe in the Loch Ness Monster. Not anymore, of course. Not after it stopped coming to my Little League games or to my violin recitals. It's just something. It's hard to believe in something that doesn't believe in you. That's. Oh, did I say Loch Ness Monster? I meant my father. That's what I. Did I hear? Don't awe that shit. My dad doesn't come to these shows. He's never going to hear that joke. You heard my introduction. Although, man, I still have 40 minutes. Ooh, boy, I thought that was going to take 30 minutes to get through that opening. Holy shit. Can't believe we have 30,000 people in this room. This is great. Thank you all for showing up at 1:30 in the morning. Good for you guys. Makes me feel good about myself. And what's that? We have 1 million viewers at home on the live stream? Wow. And none of them are wearing pants. That's super weird that you can see them as well as they can see us. I think the sky is like just about as like fucked up as the ocean is, though. Especially when it comes to like mating, like bird mating shit. Birds are just horny all the time, guys. If you can hear a bird singing, it's trying to fuck. Go out in the morning. It's so nice to hear these mourning doves singing. If you could hear what they're saying, that mourning dove is going, "Hey, who wants some? Come get it. It's been a long winter. Got to get this bird dick wet. Check out this nest I made. You want this?" Or maybe they're just terrified of heights and constantly screaming. I don't know. I don't know what's more fucked up. Just glad I can't speak bird. I think I'd lose a lot of sleep at night if I could hear one. Eagles are fucking hardcore when it comes to their mating, though. Do you guys know how eagles mate? Well, I mean, we all know how things mate, but like what eagles will do is they will get to like the highest point in the air that they can possibly get to, and they will just fall to the ground while grappling with each other until the male finishes, which I assume is probably pretty quick, because that's got to be the most fucking exciting high ever. Like that, I don't think there's a whole lot of like satisfied woman eagles coming out of that. Like that is 3 seconds. Thank you very much. That was exciting as hell. I know if I was skydiving and boning, I'd probably, like, I don't even know if I'd get it in. Anyways, no, we're not. Can't necessarily say that birds are smart, though. Jesus, I hit a pheasant, guys, with my car. Like, I was driving, so I don't know, like, how much driving you guys have done in Wisconsin, but, like, it's very limited, like, the space between towns is very far, and it's not like there are big cities in between each. It's mostly farmland. And back in the summer, a couple summers ago, I was driving to pick up an air conditioning unit in Durand that I found on Facebook Marketplace, which is great. You know, go out to, no, it was Mondovi, excuse me, not Durand, Mondovi. Different places, both really great Big Rivers schools, good for them. But we were driving out to Mondovi, enjoying the beauty of things, and all of a sudden 3 birds hit my windshield and bounced off of it. Like they were pheasants, and like the best part about it was as soon as I saw them hit the ground and roll off into the field, 3 hawks came down and just nature does not fuck around. I gave those hawks the easiest meal of their lives. I feel like I'm just, like, we help train murder machines, though. Like, those birds are just going to, like, be scaring pheasants into cars now. God. But, I almost also hit an eagle once. That was weird. It was swooping down to grab some roadkill, and I barely missed it with my car. And, like, not my first thought wasn't, oh my God, I almost hit an eagle. That would have been terrifying. My first thought was, would I have been able to keep it? Like, I mean, it wasn't like I was trying to kill the thing. Is this like a deer situation where if I hit the deer, I just call the DNR and say, hey guys, I hit a deer. Like, what do I got to do? Like, do I need to buy a tag for this? Like, it's mine, right? I didn't do it on purpose. I killed the thing. Because, I mean, normally if you kill an eagle, it's a $5,000 fine and maybe a year in prison, which, like, honestly, if I'm a rich person, I would do it just for the fucking taste of the bird. Like, yeah, here's $5,000. I mean, I could have more expensive dinners, I guess, right? You're in prison? Yeah, what are you in for? Fucking shot and killed an eagle and ate it raw right there. Some prison gang would let me into their group for that. Only for the year, though. It's a year. Like, build your rap sheet and also have a pretty cool meal. I mean, that's... live your life, right? I'm not saying that the war with birds has been going well for the birds, but we have lost wars to birds in the past as humans. So, I mean, which makes sense. They're the ultimate predator. Well, not predator, but like they're the ultimate machine, right? Like they can walk on the ground, they can fly, some can fucking swim. Looking at you, penguins. But we have, as a human species, fought wars against birds and lost them. Is anybody familiar with the 1930s Emu War in Australia? No. Okay, we have a hand. That's good. 50 hands shot up in this room. That's awesome. So in 1930s, right before World War II, oh, how young and naive we were, right? If this was our biggest problem in the 1930s, what a shock we were in for. As the folks of Australia, the descendants of the criminals that were planted there, decided they wanted to move westward, they ran into a problem, which was these big fucking walking birds that were all over the goddamn place. What do we do with this shit? Can't swing a dead wallaby without hitting one of these emus. So they decided, well, we're gonna go clear these guys out. We want to have some farmland. We're gonna do this. They estimated that there were some, hundreds of thousands of emus that were roaming the outback that needed to get cleared out. They needed a little bit to be thinned out. And they tried to offer like a bounty system. Farmers shot an emu, they bring it in, they'd give you $10, whatever. That did not work because there were so many goddamn birds, they couldn't do it. So finally Australia said, fine, we're going to send in the army. So they sent in 1,000 troops to deal with these birds. At first, they thought, well, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to go in and haphazardly shoot all of them. Didn't work because the emus could see them coming and would immediately run the other way like that. So they said, fine, we have to try some new tactics. Why don't we attach a machine gun to a Jeep and just drive through and take down as many as we can? As soon as they started doing that, they actually had some freak storms in Australia, and all of the Jeeps that they sent out got stuck in the mud, and 2 of them actually got fucking destroyed during this. So that's already emus 2, humans 0 in this war, all right? They've already destroyed 2 of our Jeeps. Finally, they figured out, well, we'll catch them all in crossfire. That's going to work. Ultimately, at the end of this, they estimated that over 1 million rounds of ammunition were fired to get these emus taken care of. In total, they bagged 1,000 emus. That is not a good kill-death ratio right there. That is... I'm not a mathematician, but that is shitty. That is not... That is spray and pray taken to a whole new level. It's not like land animals are any better, though. Jesus. I don't think, if an alien came to this planet and saw some of the shit that was like, evolution, is how things are, but it doesn't make sense if you look at things like giraffes. Like... These things, when they take a drink of water, they are likely to get killed because they have to go down on all fours, and they literally have to look around for about an hour before they drink water to make sure nothing's going to jump out and kill them. That is not a species of animal that is built by evolution to fucking survive. As obviously as a comic, I think words are important. I love words. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and I've always taught her, what's the most important thing about words? And she says that you don't use them to hurt people, which I think is a beautiful thought because, words are just words until you have meaning behind them, and then it's dangerous. And I think not only is it important to use words not to hurt people, I think it's important to know what words to use so you don't sound like a psycho at any given moment. I work a day job, a 9 to 5. How's that going? Not great, but I sit next to someone whose job it is to call our customers. She's the customer engagement specialist. She calls people and make sure that they're having a good time with what they bought from us, and if there's anything we can do to make the experience better, that kind of thing. And as a result, she makes a lot of small talk throughout her day. As you do, you're trying to build a friendly face, and So I often get to hear about her weekends a lot sitting next to her. And the other day, a couple weekends ago, her and her husband must have gone to an animal shelter because she talked about that a lot. And again, keep in mind, very important to know what words mean before you use them. Because I, over the course of a day, got to hear a grown woman say several times, my husband and I went to an animal shelter over the weekend, and I think they should ban us from there. I just want to adopt every animal. If it were up to me, I would have a menage a trois of pets. Those of you laughing know that she probably meant to say menagerie of pets, which is a French word meaning an eccentric selection, like a zoo type thing. Not the word menage a trois, which is what she said, which is a sexual encounter involving 3 or more individuals. And so I spent my entire day wondering how the fuck do I tell her what she's saying to total strangers on the phone, who probably hung up the phone thinking, what the fuck does she do on her weekends? Can be like, hey, just so you know, you've told 5 strangers that you want to have a threesome with pets. And the reason I didn't tell her, I didn't tell her that's what she was doing, because there's 2 reactions that can come from that. The first is she's, horrified, like, why would you let me say it that long? That's super embarrassing. I'm so ashamed. I should call them, and that's one reaction. The other more horrifying possible response is she looks me dead in the eye and says, no, I know what I said. And I don't want to live in a universe where that's the option, because now, like, that I've presented this opportunity, that universe is now open. But, like, man, that would be impressive, because when I take 2 dogs, I can't even get 2 dogs to cooperate when I take them out on a walk. I don't know how. Just like, no, I'm not going to mime that out. We're not. I just have horses on my set list after that joke, and I'm really not sure where I was going with that. Those are majestic beasts, though, right? Horses. Like, they are the most beautiful animal. Can we just agree on that? That long flowing hair, the muscular hinds, like, just anyways. Just a thought. I don't want to fuck a horse, guys. Don't fuck animals. But if I had to choose one... My wife hates when I do that joke. The best part is the stream is on a 20-minute delay, and she's working on the box office, so she's not going to hear me tell that joke until 20 minutes from now when I'm off stage. And she's like immediately just turns and slaps me when I get out there. It'll be perfect. No, honey, I don't really want to have sex with a horse, all right? It's not even feasible to figure out how I would do that. I spent too long on that bit. Let's move on. You may have heard. So I told a parent joke earlier. Little bit about my family. Yeah, neither of my parents are currently talking to me right now. And my sister recently came out. Not in the way that you might think she would come out. My sister, in a very long Facebook message to my wife, explained that she is visiting Mount Shasta, California, because it is a hotbed of extraterrestrial activity, and she can communicate with her alien ancestors from this mountain and astral project to her home planet. And my parents recently disowned me because I'm queer. Somehow I'm not the normal one. I don't... Oh, man. We don't always have good ideas as people. And honestly, as humans, even when we do have good ideas, doesn't always work. Or it doesn't always make sense right away. Even when you look back on it and think, hey, that's a good idea. Like 10 years from now, 20 years after it comes out, people are going to look at the KFC Double Down and be like, yeah, that was a fucking work of art. That Masterpiece that. Good job, KFC. You figured it out. You made the perfect sandwich. But sometimes it takes a while. Has anybody here ever heard of Ignatz Semmelweis? No. Okay, cool. Well, you're all about to learn something. So Ignatz was a doctor in 19th century Vienna. And he noticed that there was a huge problem going on in Vienna where women were dying of postpartum fever. Like they were getting sick after giving birth, and they were dying. And not only were they were dying at these alarming rates at one of the hospitals in Vienna, but at this other hospital they weren't dying at all. It was something like 30% death rate at this one, and like a 2% death rate, like astronomically different. And Ignatz observed what was going on, and it was the hospital that people were dying at was the medical student surgeons hospital, and the ones they weren't dying at was the midwives hospital, like just strictly for childbirths, and one was closed on the other, and it was getting so bad to the point that women would hold off on going to the hospital until they knew that the midwives hospital was open, because they knew they wouldn't die there. They would, they'd be out on the front, steps begging, "Please let me in." And of course, all the male doctors were like, "Ah, Frauleins, what do they know?" And Ignatz finally figured out what was going on. He figured out that at the medical students hospital, a lot of times they would go right from doing autopsies and dissections to delivering children. And they weren't doing that at the other hospital. And Ignatz Semmelweis had the fucking balls to say, "Hey guys, what if we started washing our hands in between touching the corpses and helping ladies give birth?" They fucking laughed him out of the hospital. They were pissed at him. "How dare you, Ignatz," they would say. "We're rich white men. Are you suggesting that we're dirty?" And they didn't start washing their hands until 30 years after Ignatz died. And what I'm saying, guys, is sometimes our bad ideas at the time are actually really good ideas. Give it up for Ignatz Semmelweis, everybody. He had his shit figured out long before anybody else did. I don't know that bit's funny, but it's informative. And now you're going to be at a party like, "Hey, guys, you hear the story about Ignatz Semmelweis?" You learned something tonight. Not like I'm, doing well either in 2019, things. I got a late fee from a video rental store this year, which means at one point this year I drove to a rental store, rented Bad Times at the El Royale, and forgot to return it for a week. And they forgave my late fee, right? They were like, "Hey, please come back and rent something from us again. We'll forgive your late fee. Just come back to us." And relationships, am I right, guys? Because you just know the next time I forget something, they're going to be like, "But remember that time we forgot your late fee?" Fine, Family Video, you're right, I'm wrong. Video rental stores, am I right? I think the religious views of humanity is very, very unique. We all subscribe to different things, whether you believe in a God or whether you don't. That's a belief in something. Recently, my wife and I converted to Catholicism, which seems like a bad time to lay a bet down on that horse right now with all the news out there. It's like putting all my money on a horse named Gonna Be Glue. Like, it's not... No, we the reason we did that, though, is that, we really liked what Christ stood for in his teachings. And honestly, like, if you're going to pick someone, pick the dude that liked to fucking party, Guy traveled around with he was basically the rock star of the time. And what was his first miracle? Anybody? Water into wine. Thank you. Jesus showed up at a wedding, said, "Fuck me if this is going to be a dry wedding. Get me some water." Boom. Turn up, everybody. It's on me. Free wine for everyone, except for you, Judas. You've been kind of a dick recently. Straight gin for you all night, buddy. And I know biblically that doesn't line up with the timeline, but I have the microphone and you don't. So I'm the theologian up here as far as I'm concerned. I also like the whole idea of saints. You know, that's kind of a cool thing to me. I just like that an all-powerful being supposedly has a middle management team. You know, let's have a bad Taco Bell one night, just praying to God, and God's like, "Oh, Saint Elmo, this is you, buddy. I got bigger things to worry about." I used to be Lutheran, though. Which was a more guilt-riddening thing than being Catholic was, as believe it or not. I think the whole story of Lutheranism is awesome because it's basically some guy just vague booking the hell out of the Catholic Church of the 1500s. I'm nailing this to the wall because someone says you need to buy your way into heaven. So that was that. My wife and I, we're trying to conceive, which was a daunting task, trying to conceive. And it's so weird to tell people that you're trying to have a kid, because a lot of times the response you get is like, "Oh, good for you," or like, you'll get a little bit of applause, or, "Hey, how's it going?" Which honestly, like, is a weird thing to say to somebody that came up to you and said, "So my wife and I are having a lot of sex recently." It's basically the same thing, right? Except if I'd come up and said that, it'd been like, "God, who's the creep? Don't need to hear about that." It's weird, though, trying to conceive. Lots of modern ways to do that kind of thing. Like, obviously, there's only one way to do it, but the way that you can, like, narrow it down is creepy. She bought a little computer that tells her when the best time to get to it is. Like, it comes up and it says, now it's time for baby making. And it got to the point where I would get an email at 6 in the morning from her computer saying, "Get to it, this is your window," which is the weirdest, like, episode of Black Mirror I think that's never been written. That wasn't the weird part, though, the computer telling us when to have get to baby making. The weird part was when the computer started breathing heavily while we were at it. That was a little creepy, I thought. A little too much for me. No, the sex computer was great, though. It was like having a little targeting computer each time I needed to make a Death Star run, It was... I mentioned I already do have a child, though. She's 9. She's great. I love her dearly. It's weird, though. Like, I'm excited to have... Oh, I should mention my wife and I are expecting. We're due in August. Yeah, thank you. It was a tough... this is, not to get all sentimental, but this is our rainbow baby. We had a loss last year, actually about a week before Die Laughing. And now we have a successful one, so we're very happy about that. I hope I can do it again. It's like riding a bike, except the bike can randomly just shit on you whenever it wants to. But having a child is tough, and they don't teach you a lot of things. A lot of things you have to learn on your own. Like, I wish somebody had told me how hard it is to explain to a 9-year-old the X-Files mythology. Like, there is no book that prepares you for that. No, you see, Scully had, like, a child with an alien, but it wasn't an alien. But she also had it's just watch the episode, kid. Children are adorable, though. We were driving in the car the other day. She's 9, and we're sitting there silent for a while, and I could see something was on her mind, and I said, "Hey, Ophelia, what's going on?" And she's like, Dad, it's weird to think how our bones are always wet. I'd be like, what did they give you at Lake Martha Days, kid? Because I want what you're having. Kids are wonderful. They're great. I am a little bit concerned, though, about what kind of world she's growing up in, the kind of world we're leaving for her. I think technology is great. Sometimes I think we can have too much of it. I think that social media can be a bad thing. I think that some of the things we congratulate ourselves for on social media can be a little concerning. Like the other day, I saw a friend of mine share on Facebook. It was a picture of a very attractive woman, lingerie, everything else, and it had the words on it. It said, "Consent is sexy." Cool idea, right? Yeah, consent is sexy. Really weird thought though, because last I heard consent was mandatory. All right, lingerie is sexy. Consent, you kind of need that. Like, I shouldn't get congratulated for getting consent before I have sex with someone. I don't get congratulated every time I walk into a bank and make a withdrawal without robbing the place. Sir, I see you're taking out some money without putting a gun to my head. Have a sucker. Good job. I do worry sometimes that I'm a bad friend on social media, though. I have a friend who has a gambling problem, checked himself into rehab, made a bet with him to see how long he would last in there. I won that one. Won the bet. Dumb joke. Ignore that one. Cut that one out of the live stream, please. Just edit, cut. Good. We're set. All right. I got 15 minutes left. I wasn't going to do this one because it wasn't part of my hour, but fuck it. Let's do it anyway. It's baseball season, y'all. Who's happy for that? Yeah. Brewers started it off great yesterday. Lorenzo Cain robbing a game-tying home run. It was beautiful. And then they fucking lost 9-5 to Paul Goldschmidt's 2 home runs. Anyways. But I love baseball season. I think one of my favorite parts of baseball is the unwritten rules of baseball. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's stuff that's not really in the rule book, but still stuff you shouldn't do because there's going to be consequences, usually in the form of a pitcher throwing a ball at you. You know, if you hit a home run, run the bases like you've been there before. Don't step on the pitcher's mound. Don't flip the bat after you hit a home run. That kind of thing. People say that it ruins the game when people do that. The unwritten rules, they say, ruin the game. On the contrary, I think they are a very important part of the game. So much to the fact that I think we should start carrying unwritten rules of baseball over into real world situations. You know, if somebody's walking in front of you and suddenly they stop to check their phone, get in front of them and start screaming in their face. Someone takes too long to order somewhere after they've been in line for 5 minutes, start kicking dirt on their shoes. Might sound extreme, but I bet Gary in accounting doesn't walk away from an empty coffee pot after taking a couple four-seamers to the thigh. I love baseball. Baseball is very, very good. If you're at a game, maybe if you're watching it on TV, cannot fucking stand it on the radio, though. Baseball on the radio is so boring because all it is it's occasional gameplay with stats that they have to shoehorn in to make it seem interesting without actually showing what's happening. Things like, baseball's a numbers game, so there is some matter to it. You know, a player doing really well on a streak, hitting particularly well against lefties during an 8-game streak in the middle of July when it's, 85 degrees out and sunny. The guy is going to hit that every time because that's just how baseball stats work. But on a radio broadcast, it's boring as hell, and I don't want to hear about it. Honestly, I think a radio announcer could have a breakdown on air, and I wouldn't realize that it's happening because I wouldn't know the tone of voice change from it. You can just imagine it now. And we're here in the bottom of the third inning. Christian Yelich up against Max Scherzer. Of course, Yelich batting a particularly good 3-2-3 against righties when it's sunny out. The wind is blowing 17 miles per hour, and it's a Tuesday in July. But Max Scherzer pitching well against lefties, a 2.24 ERA when he's listened to Prince 7 times on the way to the stadium. Of course, the Brewers all back from a 7-game away stretch. They're all happy to be home. Not me, though. I got home and found a note left on the counter by my wife. I don't know if I'll ever see her again. And the windup and the pitch. Swing and a miss for Christian Yelich. 0-1 count. Of course, Yelich likes to take a whack at those first pitches 73% of the time, and often he makes contact with them, batting 376 against righties, throwing a slider when he's had cotton candy for breakfast. Of Of course, Brewers going 6-1 on that away game stretch. All signs point to them making it to the playoffs. I wish I had paid attention to the signs of an unhappy marriage. I don't know if I'll ever see my kids again. And the windup and the pitch. Just a bit outside, 1-1 count for Christian Yelich. And hey, come on out to Family Day tomorrow here at Miller Park and cherish what I took for granted for so long while I sit up here in the booth and wait for the cold, steely grip of death to take me, and the windup and the pitch. Oh, he got all of that one. Drove that one deep, did Yelich. It is up. It is up. It is going. It is gone. Oh, my God. She's gone. She's gone. She's never coming back. I'll never be happy again. 1-0 Brewers. God, I got 10 more minutes. Well, I'll start wrapping it up here. We'll do that. We've got a host changeover and stuff coming up here soon, so that's always a big to-do. But I think it's, how we treat nature is super, super important. We talked a little bit about, how nature has things a little more figured out on key than humanity, I think, ever will. And it's kind of scary how we're treating the whole situation. We got people in politics who are refusing to admit that there's problems as long as it lines their pockets. And what's super weird to me in that whole situation is that it's the ones who are supposedly carrying out God's will in Congress that are super against saving the planet. I mean, literally, according to their beliefs, we were put on this planet for one reason, and it was to take care of God's creation. I'm not saying that if I had a nanny that could destroy me with the snap of a finger, say, please take care of this. I just cleaned this up. I just made this nice for you. Please don't fuck this up. I would want to do that. I think my God's the last person I would want to pit. Why would you want to ruin that if you believe that that's the ultimate being and the reason that you're here? If I were God, I probably would not be super happy with people using his name to do that. Pass the Green New Deal, please. My God. Ugh. Because ultimately, guys, we've been here for 50,000 years. Humanity has. Barely. Not even a blink of an eye in the timeline of this planet. And the world was doing fine without us before. And it's certainly going to be doing fine long after we're gone. So please, for the love of everything, let's get our shit together. I've been Sturz. I'm a little bit ahead of my time. Not ahead of my time. That kind of but it's 2:12, and I'm not going to kill time for 8 minutes. So I'm going to get off stage now and hand the mic back to Jenna, if that's cool. Thank you guys so much. You've been great. Have a great night.
We brought our own.
Yeah, you don't need to hand it to us.
In a metaphorical sense.
Sure, we're metaphorically.
Metaphorically, I've been handed a microphone.